Hey y'all, it's your girl Sia, and I'm back with another video. Y'all, happy Monday. Today is Monday. I believe it's the 12th. I could be wrong. Let me double check so y'all don't think yeah, it's the 12th. Um, that's how tired I am. I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and been up pretty much ever since. So I'm really tired, had a long day. Not really a long day. I just do a lot throughout the day, which makes my day pretty exhausting. Brief update. So I sent my boss an email and I told you guys, I don't know if I told you guys, but I sent him an email and I hate confrontation. I'll tell you this, but I know that at times standing up for myself is necessary, especially when I feel like I am about to like blow up, right? Part of blowing up really comes from not discussing how you feel, not being able to say what it is that you need to say. And something I've said, like, if I'm already at a point where I know, like, I knew I was going to blow up, or at least I felt it inside, right? It was time for us to have a conversation. And what was so interesting about this is I'm all weekend, I'm like, God damn, did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Sure enough, I go into work today. Mondays are usually quiet. People usually stay away from me because I have a lot of work to do and or catch up on. Um, but obviously they didn't know, like, only certain people knew what was really going on, like if I was working, stuff like that. Like, obviously not everybody is pulled into that conversation, so all they know is I left 3 days ago or 5 days ago and now I'm back, right? So it's that little bit of awkwardness. I don't really care. I'm there to do a job. But what was interesting is my boss asked me to, because I asked him, I said, well, listen, if this is, because I think it's fair when you're dealing with small businesses, it's so easy to throw something at someone, right? In terms of what we expect them to do. Hang on. Okay. Sometimes with small businesses, like I said, you get caught up in this rabbit hole where they're throwing so much work at you sometimes, and they're not necessarily paying you for the work, and or it's just a way of crossing like boundaries, because they don't, with small businesses, they don't always have a way to scale a job. And I guess in this case, that's kind of true. You can't really scale my job. And that's, they want me to write my job description and scale it and come up with tiers and stuff of the job. But I'm like, I don't know how to scale my job. Like, it's weird because I hate that he gives me so much free reign in some areas, because it's like, well, what am I don't know what the value of my position is. I don't think that my position should be based upon, like, obviously I'm not just doing tax specialist shit, right? Let's put it that way. And that's fine, but we need to come up with something that I actually do, because I don't see growth in my field because there's no real title. Like, I come in as a tax specialist. Of course, I expect to be considered a tax specialist, but the reality of the circumstances, for the work that I do for this company, there's no real, like, you're really, it is a management position, right? And so it's very hard to say, okay, how do we scale this job? Because I don't know that there's a way to, because of the constant multitasking that we do, right? Um, I would say I thought it was a curious response. Obviously, he wants different pay levels, and I think that that's fair because what I do is not what I'm getting paid for, if that makes sense. So I'm being paid as like an average tax specialist, and that's fine, right? But I do a lot of the operational stuff when it comes to the company, when it comes to clients, when it comes to managing clients. So, really, like I told you guys, I am a client manager. That is what I do, right? And so, when you look at the client manager salaries, you're like, oh, I'm getting paid a little too less, right? But again, I think my position would be based upon how the company, how much does the company value me? Right? And not me. I'm talking about my position, right? Because ultimately, like I said, I do a lot of work and I do work for others and I'm managing others while doing my work. And I don't mind it, but let's get real about the work that I do. Like, let's get real about it. This idea, even this conversation about scaling, again, I understand why it needs to be scaled, right? Or trying to get it scaled so that you can implement pay raises and stuff like that that makes sense for the position. But I also think with the kind of work that I do, my value in terms of the job position itself, I would assume that the company, if you're telling me I'm the most important, like I'm the most, I got the most important role, stuff like that. Like, not that everybody else's roles aren't important, but a lot of these people are speaking with me directly. They're new clients. They're, you know what I mean? So it's real, a lot of client building relationships and maintaining those relationships. And how I see it is, without that, you don't have a company. So I don't want to be the one to scale it necessarily because I don't know what they're expecting. I don't know. Like, I've never been in a role like this. I don't know, like, I don't know what kind of job this really is. I don't know, right? So I definitely have to do some research and have to do some digging on that. Um, but overall, you guys, I'm over it. Like, I'm really, I went in today and I just realized, like, I know what I gotta do to make it work until I don't need, it's not really that I don't need it, right? I have goals and solutions that I'm implementing so that the goal is a year from now I'm out, right? Unless something drastically changes, which I'm not sure that it will. So it is what it is. But anywho, I wanted to just give you guys that little tidbit. It was very interesting. I was nervous. I was scared. I wasn't disrespectful, but I was very, like, straightforward in my thoughts and my mindset and where what I didn't like, right? And so today I expected to come in and I'm like, oh crap, like maybe I spoke something into existence or maybe I thought something into existence, right? I don't fucking know. But today was actually a pretty smooth kind of day. Um, and I'm curious again. I would be curious to see where the position goes because I've been saying that I can't put my future in a position I really don't know what that is. Right? If I don't know where it can go, and I know damn well this ain't it, like this ain't gonna be my position for very long in terms of my capabilities and my skill sets, you're gonna have to help me figure this out because I don't know what that role really looks like. um so that's my little bit of update, but I wanted to talk about this migrant, y'all. I'm gonna be talking about this because this is probably one of the most, I want to say, is egregious the right word? I want to say that it's probably one of the most insane situations that I've seen. You guys, I can't speak on wars that are happening overseas because I really don't understand a lot of the politics and the religion behind that. Although I know that there's issues going on overseas, but I wanted to talk about this migrant crisis, and I think I'm gonna keep talking about it because it's leading to a lot of different kinds of conversations, right? And I want to be clear. The title today is, migrants versus America. Not really that we're against them. I mean, we are in the sense that we do not like the timing of things and we don't like how things were done, right? But in the sense of us being like totally against people, I don't know that that's necessarily true, considering the fact that these people are still here. And I did say that in my last live about the migrant crisis, which the reason why I was a bit skeptical is because I know that Denver was kicking people out, or they quote unquote say they were kicking people out of shelters, right? However, I also know Denver, Colorado, and they really don't want problems like that, right? So now they're trying to get people to help a neighbor type shit, really trying to let people down with ease. The problem though is I don't think this is a situation like it's very crazy to me, right? Because it almost seems as though these people who have gotten in are going to be allowed to be here, right? To the point where they're giving them what money to be able to leave, feed themselves, house themselves, pay their bill. I mean, I don't know what these people do, but they're talking about. I mean, they have already given these folks money, like thousands of dollars, and I just am at this point where I believe that these folks are not going home. I don't really care. I mean, even if Trump got in office, y'all, I have a feeling that these people who are already here are going to end up staying here. And the reason why I say this is because there's too much being invested into these people for them to go. You understand what I'm saying? Like we're too kind. We don't want to really pick them up, put them in freaking ship them off overseas. Like we're not I notice Americans are not about that life. We were at one point in time, meaning that there was a time where if that shit happened, folks was all over your helmet and you was going back. But now it's like, well, the migrants are, the criminals and, they're high crime and all this stuff. It's almost like people like Denver, Colorado is very passive. So they're not the type to do what Texas did or Florida did, right? In that regards, they're very passive people, meaning that they're going to do everything they can to help the folks here already here. And part of that, even if they gotta say, okay, well, we're turning a fuel away, yada yada yada, like that's cool, it sounds good. They ain't really turning away these folks the way that you would think that they are, though. They trying to recruit other cities to help with the madness. And then I'm thinking of the one city that's joining to help, and I'm like, oh, yeah, they already got a lot of problems, let alone trying to help somebody. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Denver was way over his head. I think that the people are realizing, damn, we kind of made a mistake. I don't know how many people really connect what's happening to Trump, though. Now, I know your Trump supporters do, and those who like completely dislike Biden do. Maybe a few of your criminals do, right? But I don't know if, like, I really want to hear liberal mindsets right now because I'm like, are y'all going to be really voting for what's right at this point? Because I'm so confused with the liberal thought process. Like, the Democrats really showed y'all that you get what the fuck you voted for. Like, you really voted. I mean, if that's the story and the narrative we're going with, because I still believe that the election was, stolen, but that's just my thoughts on that. But in the event that many people said, okay, I hate Trump so much, I'm gonna vote for Biden. Boy, was that I mean, look at our country. Look at our country. And then what baffles me is impeachment doesn't seem. I mean, when does impeachment occur? Like, I'm very confused at that at this point, because this man should have been impeached, been impeached. Y'all know what I mean, but he should have been impeached. I mean, but does that? I mean, is it only gonna happen at the last year when he's almost out of office? Like, is there a way to kick a president out within 2 years of their term? Or no, like, and I know we were all taught this in high school, but it's been a very long time since I've been in high school, y'all. So I'm gonna need somebody to let me know. He should have been out. With the crisis that we have going on at the level and the magnitude that we have it going on, he should have already been on his way out. And then what's interesting is you have this conversation about his mental health and his cognitive ability, right? And guess who's standing right next to him? Miss Kamala Harris. I keep telling y'all, Kamala Harris, I'm not sure about Michelle Obama. I don't see enough of Michelle Obama to know whether she's really lining up to take that seat. What I do know is who's already in that position, which is Kamala Harris. And I'm going to tell you now, I don't, if something happens to Biden during his presidency, and again, I don't really understand why. I mean, I get it, right? I don't get why they would wait till this long to kick him out, to like have some issues happen with him and then Kamala be put into play, right? But I almost think if they were to do that, that's a way to kind of not wipe the slate clean, so to speak, but a way to distract the average liberal voter that is now voting, right, for the opposite, right, for wanting to vote for Trump, and it gives the liberal voter another option, right? I do they even have an option right now? Like, listen, I don't even know who's voting in the Democratic seat. It damn sure better not be Biden. I don't know how it can be Biden at this point. I think that he's off the charts. Like, nobody's gonna vote. I don't know. But I could see them putting a person in place or gearing up for a person to come into play so that it's easier for them to get their votes. Because if you come back with Biden, I mean, it's America versus the migrants, I guess. I don't fucking know, but I don't really see that happening for Biden. Biden really screwed up this administration. He screwed this up. Like, this politics stuff, he screwed it all the way up. If there was ever such a thing, he did it. The writing is on the fucking wall. He's probably gonna go down as one of the worst presidents of all time, bro. Like, real shit. And was only used as a puppet. Ain't that crazy? That sucks. And then he about to, like, no offense, but the guy is how old? Like, he's only gonna be able to go for so much longer. So that's how you want to go out in life? Like, that's crazy. It's crazy to me. So I really think that obviously this whole conversation about his mental health is deliberate. Again, it's strategic, it's calculated, because we could have had that conversation 4 years ago when the man ran. Like, we really could have, right? But now you want to wait to the very last minute. And again, it's about switching their cards so they can play a new hand and or play a new way, right? So if I take him out and I put Kamala in, right, it's an easy distraction. But what bugs me is you got the talks of reparations, right? You got them possibly about to switch whoever it is that they're really supporting. I say they because nobody knows who they is, but y'all know what I mean. They, the people behind these folks, right? They're gearing up they got another plan in play. They got another game. What are them things when y'all have, I don't do sports, but you know how I can't even repeat what I'm trying to say. But in sports, they don't y'all do plays and stuff and they draft plays. That's almost like what's happening right now, right? And they got to, because Trump has so much momentum. But I'm not even sure, like I said, we'll see. Because I also got to question Trump's position. I do. I have to. And I'm not saying Trump is bad or good. I think anything is better than Biden at this point, really, unless it's another Democrat. Like, that's what we got to make sure that doesn't happen at this point because the Democrats need to be put on ice, right? They don't lost their freaking minds, bro. So the entire premises, I was Dr. Claude Anderson, right? I was watching his show like an interview he did a long time ago where he was talking, it's the miseducation of the Black Negro or something like that, where he's talking about how blacks will become the permanent underclass by such and such time, right? And I remember thinking when I watched it, I was like, nah, like I don't see it. I know we're only at 2%. Well, I believe that this whole migrant crisis just put black people further and further at the bottom. And when I say black people, I really mean like poor people. And let me be clear, we all about to be poor come 2030. But I think that it's put, and when I say black people, okay, and I don't mean just blacks, okay? It really puts like, if I was homeless and I was Spanish, even if I wasn't homeless and I was Spanish, y'all, I would pretend to be one of the migrants. For real. I noticed that you don't hear a lot about the black migrants coming over here. What's happening with them? You don't hear shit about those. You don't see them on the news. They the ones talking. They talking about the Venezuelans, the light skinned, right? Again, you're dealing with Democrats, so understand you're dealing with a level of racism off tops, right? You're dealing with a lot of light skinned people who can easily, at some point, pass for white. The Mexicans are doing it, so why not the Venezuelans? And again, there's Africans, there's all types of people coming over here. So how come we're not talking about the black ones, right? So that it does make me wonder, like, are the black migrants coming in? Are they being treated the same way? Yes, I have to ask that. Not saying it's okay either way, but I'm curious, right? Then you have black people, which they'll tell you on the news is that we make up the majority of your homeless population. So it's very interesting how that works, right? I told you on the news when they're talking about blacks and browns being the majority of the homeless, and this white man is sitting here repeating these statistics, is that and what's so bizarre to me is nobody stopped to say, damn, that's interesting. Why is it that so many blacks and Hispanics are homeless as opposed to whites, right? I think that's very interesting. And in my opinion, I believe it's done systematically, especially here in the state of Colorado. I know some blacks are responsible for their own shit, just as Spanish are responsible for their own shit. But I also recognize that in the state of Colorado, there's a systematic thing going on with these weird white. They're different out here. It's a different kind of white people out here. And I really believe that it's done systematically. Obviously, you're dealing with gentrification, you're dealing with a lot of different things that um I'm just not a fan of. I'm always going to oppose to, right? Now, with that being said, because your blacks and your browns make up majority of the homeless population, they are going to be naturally pushed to the side. They're going to have a harder time seeking assistance than these migrants. And I'm going to be honest, for some of you business folks out there, because I thought about it, but I ain't got time to be trying to figure out a 501c3. But it would behoove you to start like an American shelter, right? An American donation car. Like they really got these things where they're donating cars to these folks. And they're making it all for migrants. We're building migrant shelters, right? They're letting you know that these are for the migrants. These are migrant resources. So right now, not saying that it's feasible for everybody, but it would behoove people to start saying, no, we're giving to Americans, Americans only. And if you are greedy and you are money hungry, then becoming a Colorado coalition for the homeless or something of that nature, that's actually pretty profitable right now, especially if you're given directly to Americans. But then again, how much of Americans are really going to give back, right? So I was thinking about that. I'm like, that would be a little business because now it's in demand. Americans need support. This is now, I mean, it's always been in demand, but I think that now that they're being casted to the side for these migrants that ain't even paid a dime to this country, ain't even not put they sweat and tears into this country. Um, I think that it's only right. I think that instead of complaining about what the migrants are getting, first of all, they're only getting it from the American people. And I'm not sure, like I said, what about your homeless, right? So because you have so many blacks making up the homeless, and the homeless are being pushed aside for migrants, right? That naturally creates an underclass, naturally. And I was sitting here thinking too, another thing. Black people have been asking for reparations. Listen, let's have a real conversation though. You don't give black people reparations for the shit that they supposedly went through, but you're gonna get some Venezuelans who never been through nothing outside of their own choices to come here and go through the shit. Because this is what they do. They come here, they tell you they come in for a better life. Half of us don't believe that shit. Okay. It is what it is, right? Because now what they've done is they advertise the border on the news. So every person around the world now knows that you can breach America and nothing will happen. So I have a hard time believing that these migrants are people in need, that they're surviving and fleeing their countries. Like, that's the case. Shouldn't there be? I mean, there's clear wars that we're going through right now. Shouldn't there be a certain ethnic group that's coming through here? Like, I mean, I'm just saying, isn't what is it, the Palestinian and the Israeli war or whatever? Like, why aren't the people coming from there over here? You know what I mean? Like, it's very I don't know, right? It's giving it's not making a whole lot of sense. I mean, it is, but it don't, right? There's certain things that just don't fucking make sense. And when you're advertising it on the news, hey everybody, look at all these thousands of migrants walking into the US. I mean, they got gangs in the US coming. Like, they're really advertising this shit, right? I don't believe half these folks are migrants. This was done systematically because that's why these people are getting the support. It's interesting how now all of a sudden we got all this money, right? We can't get the potholes fixed, but we got money enough to get to the migrants. We giving away whole schools and airports and everything to these migrants. And it's almost like, you know what I noticed with this country is we move when we want to move. Trust me, this whole conversation about, oh, but they won't let me. I tried to do such and such, but they wouldn't let me. That's a bunch of nonsense. I'm starting to realize that's what people say when they did not do what the people asked them to do. It's an easy cop out. The people already believe it because what I'm seeing is whenever this country has an agenda and it wants it done, the shit gets done. As you saw with COVID, right? You saw the vaccines. I mean, literally, it played out right before your eyes in literally a few months. It didn't take 6 years to generate a vaccine. Not saying that that's the best vaccine and that's the best process, but I'm just saying what we've seen is when this country wants to get shit done, it gets it done. It doesn't talk about it, doesn't argue about it, just makes it happen. And literally overnight, you will see the changes. So just like I just said, overnight, we see the changes with these migrants. Our governments are willing to give, our state governments, our local governments are willing to give to these migrants as if this wasn't already planned. Like, it definitely has to be planned. There's no way you're telling me you're coming up with millions and millions of dollars. All these people are struggling, homeless and everything else. You ain't helping them. You got camps full of homeless people on the goddamn sidewalk. You won't help the people who live in the building, let alone the people outside the building. But now all of a sudden, some migrants come, and now you got $12 million to just be given away. That is a bit fishy to me. I don't care how you look at it, how you spin it. I don't give a damn. Shit don't smell the fuck right. Okay? So what it does naturally, again, because they're coming in and they're getting assistance at the moment they come in, it ain't even really like a month down the road. These people are getting help right away. The fact that they're getting help right away They're getting jobs that the average American cannot get. The average American is being laid off on their jobs. Hence another reason why I told myself I'm going to suck my shit up because I got to be grateful, right? I'm starting to see, and maybe this is because I'm on TikTok a little too much, but there's all types of folks, all types of shit happening right now that I've been blessed to not have to experience. But yeah, there ain't no but. I've been blessed and I have to experience, right? So, but I've experienced it, right? So just know that I had my fair share of going through some shit, okay? And I'm sure I'm not done with it. But I have to recognize that I'm a little bit more fortunate. And even though I don't make shit, well, I make a lot. I thought I did. That's another thing. They're getting rid of the middle class. So it's like, I think that's why my mind is stressed. It's not stressed about money. Okay. I know enough this year to know I'll be all right. But I am stressed about money, if that makes sense. Because I'm like, where the fuck is all my money? Like, at some point, you know that, okay, I'm striving to hit 100K, right? Y'all, I'm so close. And I still can't get ahead, damn it. So, um, I told myself this weekend to count my blessings, right? I'm not bragging. I could definitely use assistance just like us all. But I also know it can be a lot worse, right? The things that are happening right now is crazy. You got people being laid off from their jobs, right? You got homeless that can't even get help. I mean, there was a time, especially in Colorado, like I couldn't imagine this is not the time to be homeless. That's just the honest to God truth. But the homeless got whatever they want out here. So if you can imagine Cali, you can imagine certain places where they just be giving these benefits like candy, right? Now you got these places filled with migrants, and those are going to be the people that get the help first. And so I say a permanent underclass, but it really is going to affect blacks and browns first, off tops, right? But obviously you got your poor whites, right? So they are gonna be affected by it too. They're already being affected. Your poor whites are just as affected, if not as browns and blacks, right? But what's happening is you have a middle class that's diminishing at the same time. And so you got these migrants coming in, they're taking over, which again, you gotta ask yourself, I mean, it's an invasion, but it makes me wonder, like, they're trying to change the trajectory of America, like the overall tone of America, which is interesting, right? You give these people all types of housing, money, jobs, all this extra shit just because, whatever, right? Meanwhile, inflation is rising for Americans, right? The average American is getting laid off from their jobs. You got all types of Americans working to sleep in their car. While it starts off with black people, it's going to end up being a large amount of the population. A large amount of the population will end up being in the bottom half of the country. Mark my words. By 2030, we going to see it. Because this country, at this point, you have a country that has told us, from what I can see, from how they're handling this, they don't really care about us, man. They don't not give a damn about Americans. This is not an American ran government. I mean, it is, but I have a feeling it's ran by migrants. For real. Maybe not migrants, but it's ran by people that are not actual Americans. And that's a problem. I mean, people that were like, I really believe that I'm starting to really believe that if you have a president, right, and you have government, you need people that are like born here, like got ancestry here, like not born here, but they mama is from, some other country, because then they'll feel obligated to give back. You need people that got like generations of history here to be president or to be in the level of politics to where they can actually make a change, right? Get them started, maybe get their feet wet, right? Give them 1 year. Okay, how long? I mean, really, I don't know. I think that is something that's inbred in the American people. Americans are bred one way, and these other people are bred a whole nother way. And their thought processes, not saying that they're not human, but their thought processes are very much, they like America because they see all the stuff that we have and the things that we've been able to acquire, but they don't like America because of all the things we've been able to acquire. You see what I'm saying? So it's that double-edged sword where we're kind of playing with fire right now at the expense of the American people, and they don't give a fuck. They don't give not a damn, not at all. So I think that this is the beginning to a creating of a permanent underclass, right? And it's unfortunate because what black people have been saying, it's interesting how the shit is just playing out right in front of their eyes by the very own party that they support. Fucking make it make sense. These motherfuckers said, okay, y'all ain't even worth enough to invest in. I mean, well, you are if we give you drugs and needles and clean spaces to do drugs and shit like that. But you're not even worth donating a car to. You're not worth giving a $5,000 stipend to. You're not worth giving free housing to, right? This is essentially what they're saying. You're not worth building another shelter. This is what black people have been saying about so many different layers I say their, but of our reality, right? Then you have these folks who never just walked in and said, "Hi, I'm here." And now you got blacks who can't even go to the homeless shelter because the homeless shelters are full. They're turning them away because they want to support the migrants. That's crazy. But then we complain. See, it's funny. And I say, this is my thing about reparations, and I'll stop at this. So I do believe that reparations for a black America should look different than what you're giving these fucking Venezuelans. Now, I say that because I know the state of Black America, and I know not all, but a lot are going to squander whatever you give them. They're just going to, go crazy with it. But I do think for every Venezuelan we're giving a house to, $5,000 to, a stipend to, right? A free car to, free food, right? I think we should be doing that for as many veterans, as many homeless that are capable of being in their right mind, right? I think we should be doing the same, if not more. I'm just saying, if that's where we going. I mean, if we just gonna give my money away, we might as well give it to people in need. Give it to these kids that are in these freaking foster homes and shit, right? They don't have no parents, right? I'm just saying. It's very strange to me how America doesn't see the plight of the black person, but we're going through it. It's real as day right now. Like what you're seeing is real as day. And it's no surprising that the Democratic Party ushered this shit in. It's not at all. So that's all I got to say on the matter, y'all. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. I'll say this: Denver is not getting rid of these migrants. Denver ain't gonna ship them off to their country. It's not happening. Denver talks a good game because they're starting to feel the effects, right? These white people are scary though. Like, not to say it like that, but they're so passive, they don't know how to like tell people no. They do, but they don't know how to do it in a way where people will really listen. You know what I mean? They don't know how to be like, listen, bro, I don't know where you gonna go, but I will pay for your ticket and your destination outwards. You gonna have to go. They don't know how to be so forthcoming. I mean, they're forthcoming in their way, but I mean, I just feel like there's a level of aggression that should be taking place. Maybe that's just me. I feel like when somebody comes into your home, what you gonna do? You gonna tell them politely to leave, or you gonna make them leave? Which one? This ain't the time to be being polite. And you got these democratic cities that believe in being politically correct. And so all their language is inviting. It's not deterring at all. And like I said, the only thing with Denver, I think the biggest thing with Denver is Denver ain't really trying to see crime. Like we do have crime here, but you're dealing with a lot of wealthy white folks. And I'm sorry, but that wealthy white folks, and I do believe a lot of I don't know. We don't have enough of the red ones down here in Denver to really do make a difference. I don't, I just don't see. I feel like Denver wants to be a sanctuary city, but they don't want to do so at a visible expense to the city. So right now they're cutting, there's all these budget cuts and all that, right? And then what I mean by this is they say, okay, well, we're going to cut the budget of the rec center. Every person in this state is probably freaking out, like what? Because our rec centers are, people use them, right? They're very active and popular, and they're just Colorado's rec centers everywhere. Not a bad thing. But what they say is, oh, we're going to cut the funding, but they'll be open 6 days a week, but for limited hours. So it's like this blanket kind of, it's like a way of saying, we're budget cutting, but, we still have it available. I don't know how to explain it. It makes it look better than what it actually is. Because then what if it's only 2 hours a day, right? That ain't good for nobody. Not the kids, not the old people, not the people going there to work out, swim, whatever. So it's a lot of we say this, but we really mean this, or we say this, but we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. We don't want y'all to go too crazy in the streets or nothing. So we're really gonna build this whole shelter for you guys, even though we're kicking you guys out of the shelter. We're gonna open our coliseum to you. The fuck? How you gonna kick people out of the shelter, but then open the whole coliseum for them? Like it's weird. It's a way of saying, well, yeah, we don't really want to do this, but they don't want the effects that may come from really pushing these people out of the city. That's what it is. That's how I see it. And every politician right now is putting Americans last, plain and simple. Like they're true. This is a choice. Biden coming out of the goddamn store with a fucking milkshake. The fuck? Talking about, well, I tried, I could have done, I should have, if they, no, motherfucker, we know that when you want something done, you get it done, sir. That's just you. If you ever paid attention to a president, they tell you all this bullshit, but when they want something done, they get it done. Universal health care, the Obamacare. Obama got that shit done, but he told all the blacks, oh, well, they didn't let me do this, so. And black people fell for the stupid shit. Like I said, always remember COVID, bro. Remember how fast they were able to take action across the nation. Let that sink in. Like, really let that sink in. And then you tell me if you really believe that there's nothing they can do with these migrants. The problem is they don't want to do anything with the migrants. They don't. That's what it is. They're not going nowhere. You got all these immigration lawyers. Listen, I almost had to cuss the immigration lawyer out. If you don't stop telling these people how to stay in America, get the fuck on. The fuck? Immigration attorneys make bank too, but I'm like, fuck that shit. Fuck. I mean, I appreciate the ones that are really doing good, but like at this point, immigration is immigration, right? So your immigration attorneys are all over it right now. And I get they gotta make their money, but goddamn at the expense of the American people. It's crazy. So that's all I gotta say, y'all. That's my rant for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.